Hey guys, welcome to the We Need to Calm Down podcast. I'm Devon.
And I'm Joe.
And this is the show where
This is the show about Taylor Swift. Devon, we don't have time for an intro.
I know, but I thought I would try.
No time. Folklore, now.
Okay. Let's discuss.
I have been going crazy all day. I need to talk about this. I need to get this out.
We've both been working. We both have had to kind of try to attempt to turn off our Taylor Swift brains for a little bit, but we were texting back and forth throughout the entire day. Yeah. So
what happened this morning? What happened this morning when you woke up? Because you woke up before I did, and you got this news.
For the one day I wake up before Joe. So I wake up, my alarm goes off. I'm like, okay, let me just scroll through Twitter before getting out of bed. And I'm scrolling, and I expect to see something like One Direction related because it's their 10-year anniversary. And I'm looking, and then I see Taylor Swift posted something, and it looks like an album. And I went, no. And then I looked into it, and I saw that she posted like a grid image of 9 photos, and she posted all this stuff, and I went, whoa, wait. T-Swift 8? Like, what is happening? TS8? So I text Joe, and I say, Joe, we're getting a new album tonight. We're literally getting a new album. Like, hello.
I would have found your first text to me because
none of it was spelled. None of it was spelled correctly. I needed to get it out because I thought that Joe would respond in like 0.2 seconds being like, what? Oh my God. But then he didn't. This man was asleep.
I slept later than I have ever slept on a work day. I slept until like 8:45. I had a meeting at work at 9. So I didn't have any time to react to any of this. I woke up to Devon. I woke up to my friend Danielle. I woke up to my friend Katie. And Katie never texts me unless it's something Taylor Swift related. And I was like, what is happening? Like, why is she texting me? And so let me see. What did I get? I got a video. I woke up to a video of you. Like, I woke up to like all of this stuff.
That came later. So because I couldn't talk to Joe, I went to my car on the way to work, and I sat down, I placed my phone in front of me, and I said,
Nothing is spelled right. Nothing. It's just like a garble of just messages.
Here, read it for the viewers. What did I say?
Highly a hit. Joe, we're hating T-Swift 8, BFF. Literally tonight, and a music video. Scrap everything we have coming up.
Yeah, all of the content that we had, all the lover content, out the window.
Out the window. We recorded a couple of things early. I recorded a whole rant about track 5s that is now going to be completely ruined because there's a new one that I have to incorporate into that rant.
We'll cross that bridge when we get there.
We'll cross all of. Right now, let's start talking about folklore, the reason for the season.
Yes.
I texted my boss that I was working on a religious holiday today because Taylor Swift dropped. So what exactly did Taylor Swift post?
Okay. So the image that I have in the background for the Zoom call that you would see if you're on YouTube right now, it's the image of her in the forest and she's looking up at the sky. She posted a 9 block on her Instagram with no captions for any of them. And everyone's like, what is happening? What's going on? What are these photos? And then she posted the same image, but in one photo. And then she made the caption, most of the things I had planned this summer didn't end up happening, but there's something I hadn't planned on that did happen. And that thing is my 8th studio album, Folklore. Surprise, happy waving emoji. Tonight at midnight, I'll be releasing my entire brand new album of songs I poured all my whims, dreams, fears, and musings into. I wrote and recorded this music in isolation, but got to collaborate with some musical heroes of mine. At Aaron Desner, who has co-written and produced 11 of the 16 songs, Bon Iver, who co-wrote and was kind enough to sing on one of them with me, William Bowery, who co-wrote 2 with me, and Jack Antonoff, who is basically musical family at this point, shed a little tear. Engineered by Laura Sisk and John Lowe, mixed by Serban Gina and John Lowe. The album photos were shot by the amazing Beth Garabrandt, Before this year, I probably would have overthought when to release this music at the perfect time, but the times we're living in keep reminding me that nothing is guaranteed. My gut is telling me that if you make something you love, you should just put it out into the world. That's the side of uncertainty I can get on board with. Love you guys so much. Heart.
That's actually interesting too, because didn't she do that with the Christmas song? She wrote the Christmas song and was just like, I could wait, but let me just put it out now, and just like on a whim put it out. So hopefully we just keep getting stuff like this.
Love it. Love the energy.
I'm losing my mind.
So then the next thing she posted was the track list with the caption, Folklore will have 16 songs on the standard edition, but the physical deluxe editions will include a bonus track called The Lakes. Because this is my 8th studio album, I made 8 deluxe CD editions and 8 deluxe vinyl editions that are available for 1 week, smiling face. Each deluxe edition has unique covers, photos, and artwork available exclusively at taylorswift.com.
It's funny that she put that smiley emoji in there, because I was not smiling about this.
The money you have to drop. I'll just wait.
Oh my gosh. My friend texted me. She's like, I bought all 8 CDs.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, she's like, $115 well spent. And I was like, you're a monster.
Holy crap. At that point, it's like, what are you? I don't even know.
We'll talk more about that when we get into the whole merch thing, because that's a whole section.
And then she has one post of her, assumably from the Cardigan music video, and this like the sepia glitter kind of vibe. She looks like she's looking or opening something. And she says, the music video for Cardigan will premiere tonight, which I wrote/directed. A million thank yous to my brilliant, badass video team, cinematographer Rodrigo Prieto, producer Jill Harden, executive producer Rebecca Skinnard, AD Joe Osborne, editor Chancellor Haynes, special effects wizards David Lebensfield and Grant Miller, and set designer Ethan Tobin. The entire shoot was overseen by a medical inspector. Everyone wore masks, stayed far away from each other, and I even did my own hair, makeup, and styling.
Incredible. This woman, there's nothing she can't do. I did notice that the director, who is it, Prieto?
Yeah.
He also worked on The Irishman and Wolf of Wall Street, which
your fave
with The Man.
Yeah.
Which isn't coming out until a lot later now.
With
we literally just did a song breakdown of The Man, and we might push that back now. But we talked about Wolf of Wall Street a lot with that, because there's a lot of Wolf of Wall Street references in it.
Yeah, and
I think it's really interesting.
And Aaron Dessner from The National, he has written and produced with Lisa Hannigan, Frightened Rabbit, Mumford & Sons, who I love, Local Natives, and Sharon Von Etten.
Who is Frightened Rabbit?
I don't know any of the other songs off the top of my head.
I'm gonna look that up. That sounds awesome.
But I know Mumford & Sons and Sharon Von Etten. So
Local Natives sounds familiar.
Mm-hmm.
But I obviously know Mumford & Sons.
Also, as someone who works in the industry, I have to appreciate all these call outs to all the people that worked on this, whether it be the music video or the album. Love the call outs, love the just give credit where credit's due. So
I do love, like, that is a huge thing, even down to the photographer who took these images. Like, it's definitely something I think is, one, it's awesome to see, and I hope that she is a big enough figure that she influences other artists to follow suit.
Yeah.
And do that as well. So let's discuss folklore.
Yes. So
the definition I looked up, we're going to start this like a wedding. Merriam-Webster defines folklore as traditional, the first definition is traditional customs, tales, sayings, dances, or art forms preserved among a people, such as the coyote in Native American folklore or Paul Bunyan as a figure from folklore. I omitted the second one because it was kind of irrelevant, but the third definition of folklore, this is a juicy one, is an often unsupported notion, story, or saying that is widely circulated, which is like the folklore about the health risk of computers. So like myths and like lies. And,
reputation.
It's just hard. It's so much Taylor Swift stuff. And she can pull so much out of this, from like her whole life in the media to politically what's going on right now with all of like with the statements she's making about our president and things like that, which we'll get into more as we discuss the track listings. But there's so much to unpack in just the name alone.
Exactly.
With reference to everything going on.
Yeah, and I would assume with, folklore, folk music
Mm-hmm.
potentially. I really hope we get a safe and sound kind of vibe.
I mean, we need
I
it. I would love to feel safe and sound right now.
I was listening to it on the way back from work, just on repeat, and I'm like, I need this. I need this kind of Taylor Swift in my
It's
life.
so comforting. Like
Hmm.
it's so like warm and fuzzy, which is weird because like I don't associate that with the Hunger Games as warm and fuzzy or
Yeah,
feeling safe. But it is. It feels like a nice like little lullaby. Like I would sing that to my child before they go to sleep.
it's like you're wrapped up in a nice fuzzy cardigan,
Whoa.
and that's what we need in 2020.
That's what I bought in 2020.
Joe's like, I bought the cardigan.
I bought the cardigan. I did buy the cardigan. I am forever in love with this aesthetic. Like
Hmm.
I so Devon has the image of the actual album as her background. I just made like a quick collage of all 8 pictures. I'll just like move around. You can see them. Um, but I love the idea of Lost in a Forest. I love wooded things, and I love that they're black and white sepia. Like,
Hmm.
just a really cool. I've been watching a lot of like forest related horror movies lately, which is like not something I generally associate with Taylor Swift, but like I've been loving that aesthetic and like, oh, it's so nice. I'm so here for this.
I just imagine being in like a cottage and just like listening to this album.
It's weird. Like I do just straight associate this with horror. Like I don't associate this with comfort, which is weird. But like especially like this one,
Hmm.
like that specifically is like that's terrifying.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, like that's really scary. I'm
Run
pointing at
away.
the In the Weeds copy of the album art. And I know that because that's the one I bought. And then there's this one too. Like this is like run this is called Running Like Water, where she's just running away from something. This is like horror movie vibes,
Or
and I
towards
love it.
something.
Or towards something. I don't know. Running away from something probably. Those are the top 3 are my favorite arts from this whole thing.
Yeah.
Those are the if I were to buy more than one copy of the vinyl, I would have gotten all 3, and it was hard for me to choose between these two. Um,
I have yet to purchase any merch yet, so
ooh, well,
I might do it afterwards. I really
It's
don't
coming.
know. Tell me if you have any preferences. Um,
We could
so
do a poll. Which vinyl Devin should buy?
all of them.
All of them.
So Taylor apparently, allegedly, had released this album, recorded it, all that in 2 months. If she did start in April, which is when it's rumored she started, when she reached out to Aaron, that's 2 months.
So 2 months. Let's break that down. That's 60 days. That's roughly 60 days to write and record 16 songs.
17 if you include the
Se-
bonus track.
17 including the bonus day. So that's less than 2 songs a day, or that's less than 2 days a song. Like I was absolutely blown away when we talked about Lover and the fact that she wrote that in literally a night. Like a
Yeah.
whole album in like 2 days a song. 2 days a song. Like
And knowing her, she probably put out like one or two a day and then went like a couple days kind of playing
I,
around with some ideas.
I'm sure she probably also like she might have reached out, but I'm sure she had some amount of lyrics
Mm,
or some things written before she reached out. Like there's no way that she had not because she's an artist. She's always writing. She's always thinking of songs and things like that. So it was probably like a bunch of like skeletons
hmm.
that she just needed to put down.
Yeah.
Um, but even so, like it's ludicrously impressive.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
And I'm absolutely in awe. And 16, like when you texted me this, like in the morning, I was like, new album. All right, maybe it's like 10 songs, because
Hmm.
like we mentioned, like this is less than a year before Lover. This is the shortest turnaround on Taylor Swift's records. Um, it has to be like a low, like it has to be 10, maybe like her self-titled was the shortest album by far at 11 songs, 15 if you include the bonus. So I was like, it's got to be somewhere around there, right? 16.
Hmm.
16. I did the math because that's all I do, and I really enjoy spending time in Excel. I did the math. She averages 14 songs an album. So this is above average for the number of songs on an album. And again, like 2 months, she could have
Yeah.
just chilled. Could have just chilled, done nothing. But no, she pumped out 17 songs.
Mm-hmm.
With bonus tracks, if you account for that, she's right on par with about 17 songs. But that's with bonus tracks. Like, it's insane to me.
You have the time with Lover, because Lover is also 17 songs. But she had plenty of time to work on that. And then in 2 months, she's just like, yeah, here's another 17. Like, hi. The talent.
It's absolutely insane. I did notice, too, while going through and doing this, that she has severely limited the number of bonus tracks that she puts in a song or in an album, which I think is an interesting thing to note. Because, yeah, there was 4 in self-titled. There were 6 on Fearless, which makes sense because she's a new artist and she's just putting out songs that, like, were unreleased or unrecorded.
Yeah.
Speak Now had 3, Red had 3, 1989 had 3, Reputation had none, Lover had none. And this is the first time since 1989 that we're getting any bonus tracks whatsoever.
Yeah.
So that's interesting to note.
So exciting. And let's just talk.
Which also this is, if you think about it, and this is going to go into our next point, but if you think about it, let me get my tin hat out. Mm-hmm. If you think about it, this is the exact reverse of how we usually get a Taylor Swift album, because the bonus track doesn't come out until the physical copy. So, and there's no stores that are really getting it. Like, you probably won't be able to go to a store tomorrow and get it, I assume. You might be able to, but assuming you can't, that means that there is one track that we won't hear until it ships. And I ordered stuff from Taylor Swift store. It said ships in 4 to 6 weeks.
Holy wow.
So I might not get that vinyl for 4 to 6 weeks. So I won't hear that 17th song for a long time. Yeah. So that's the exact opposite of when she releases one song. You listen to that until you never want to hear it again. And then you skip it every time you hear the album.
We don't have to do that with this album, and I'm so excited for that. There's no there's no overplayed radio single, no promotional craziness, no phone talking, just nothing.
Don't even get me started. Like that's the thing is like we've mentioned this before, maybe not actually on pod, but like we've talked about it a couple of times. But like, when you look back at her first single that she always dropped for an album, We Are Never Ever Getting Back Together, Shake It Off, Look What You Made Me Do, Me, they're all so grandiose pop songs with talking on the phone, and some very gimmicky. The chorus is always very, very, very minimalistic, if not just one line repeated over and over again. None of that for this. And we talked about this with Lover, where Me didn't even feel like it didn't really mesh with a lot of the other songs on the album. And you can say the same thing for Shake It Off and like a couple of them. If we look at this album now, every song could feel like this album.
Yep.
Like, she didn't have to write a song like that for it.
I'm so excited for it. I'm so excited.
I can't get over it. We're recording this. It's 8:28 right now. So we have like 3.5 hours until this album comes out.
We're going to try to edit this quickly.
My goal is to have this up by 10.
All right, let's keep going then.
That's my goal. All right, so Swift finally has her Lemonade.
Yes.
I'm so happy about this.
Her Beyonce moment.
Her Beyonce moment. I have been arguing with Beyonce fans that Taylor Swift is better for, not even exaggerating, years. And they always go to the point where that Beyonce sold Lemonade and sold all this out without all this marketing, and I couldn't really say, because Taylor Swift is such a heavily marketed. She's a marketing genius just as herself. Yeah. But like, everything is a giant rollout. There's always all these like tiny hints and clues and stuff like that. And this is just, she does her Beyonce moment. She just drops an album.
Yep.
Hopefully Joe didn't cheat on her.
No. If anything, I would say the opposite, potentially.
Exactly. I think it would be the exact opposite, where she would also just drop a marriage on us too. But I've also been saying, all of these artists with not able to do anything in quarantine, especially the really rich ones who definitely have a recording studio in their own house, better be coming out with new albums.
Yeah.
I think I said this about Taylor Swift specifically, but I know I said this about Lorde. And now that we know that Jack Antonoff is free,
hit her up.
Go to your other child
Yeah. Spread the love equally.
But
I can't,
I
yeah.
go ahead, go ahead.
I was going to say, I just can't believe that we've gotten, at this point, 3 Taylor Swift albums before a New Lord album.
Insane.
Come on,
What are
girl.
you doing, Ella? Come on. Um, so
Oh,
a couple of Easter eggs that we want to point out.
yes.
Aside from this being the second album in a year, insane.
Hmm.
Devin, what Easter eggs did you notice?
So this is surprising because there's not a lot of Easter eggs about this album because it was this unmarketed release. But, fans pulled together and they said, okay, well, what did we miss? Like, how did we miss this? And if you look back on April 27th, she posted on Instagram, not a lot going on at the moment. And it was just a selfie of her. And everyone was like, what is this? What is this post? Like,
It's not even a reference to a lyric. It's a reference
mhm.
to a shirt she wore in a music video 7 years ago.
Yeah, like people weren't really thinking about it. They just kind of brushed it off back of the mind. But now 427 is the inverse of tomorrow's date, 724, adds up to 13. And
All women do is lie.
yeah, not a lot going on at the moment. You're starting an album, like, calm down. But not a lot going on at the moment is 8 words.
It is 8
Eighth
words.
album.
Oh my gosh. That's so Devin sent me the meme of just like all women do is lie when they were up to that, and I've just been going crazy. It's so funny. Oh my gosh.
Sure, Taylor. So you pointed out a good thing that I didn't notice about Twitter.
Yeah, Simon Biles. That
Simone
can't be his
Biles.
last name.
Simone Biles.
Simone Biles.
The female gymnast, yeah.
I'm so sorry for your last name. She had a post that had 8 emojis, and it came out 13 days before the announcement referencing Taylor Swift.
8, 13.
I love that Taylor is still on 13, like so many years later. I love that that's still that's like a biblical number to her.
She probably started working on the album in April and was like, okay, well, if I do this, then I can still involve 13. Like, I don't think she was really planning on anything like Easter egg wise, but she's like, let me just throw in that just to make the fans happy.
100%.
And the last Easter egg I can think of that definitely wasn't intentional because
it could have been. It could have been.
Was it though? Because she wasn't planning on releasing this album. But if you look back on the Lover music video, that little, beige room leading up to the, stairway to the attic, it's this beigey color. And it's the 8th room. And everyone was like, oh, well, there's 7 rooms and then there's a room that leads to another room. Let's not count it. But
doesn't that room also kind of bridge? Like it bridges other rooms together.
It bridges Reputation and I think the
Lover and the blue room, right?
I don't think the blue room. I think it bridged the pink room, which was Lover, into Reputation.
But it's in the center. So it's Reputation at top, Lover on this side, and then the other side I think is 1989 blue room. Because green, or it could be yellow, but I could be wrong there. Because it's a hallway.
Yes.
Either way.
I'm trying to see if I can find it real quick, but I can't.
I would lose my mind if it was bridging Red and Lover, because that's what like the vibe from this album feels very Red plus Lover.
Listen, if this is another Red album, I'm popping off. Oh, here we go. Okay. It's on the same floor as the blue room and the pink room, and it leads up until Reputation.
Yeah, okay.
So I think that was 1989, Lover, and Reputation. Interesting. Anyways, so those are our Easter eggs.
Those are our Easter eggs. All right, we're going to talk about the track listing because this is a lot. 16, 17 songs.
Yes.
There are 17 of them.
17 tracks. They're all in lowercase, and so is the title of the album. That's how you know it's going to be a fire album, when everything is in lowercase.
Didn't Halsey do that recently?
I don't know. I'm not a Halsey stan like you.
Hopeless Fountain Kingdom she did. Halsey's Hopeless Fountain Kingdom was all lowercase, but it was also my least favorite of her albums. So.
I'm thinking Ariana Grande.
Ariana did that too. And that was a good album, even though I don't like her.
Shame. Anyways, okay. Track listing. Let's start off with track 1, entitled The One.
The One.
How how perfect. Track 1, The One. Um, I don't really know what to think of this. The One, I think it's gonna probably set the scene. It could have romantic undertones, like, oh,
Mhm.
you're the one. Otherwise, I'm thinking it might be more about like isolation and like being alone during quarantine, just the one.
It's a very generic sounding name,
Hmm.
that I think it can be blanket applied to almost anything, which I think kind of like Folklore itself, like the name of the album. Like we could say this is about the one, like Taylor's love interest, the one. Could be about her just being the one. Um, I love your pointing out like aloneness, isolation. I think is a huge one. Um, but the fact that she starts it off track 1, the one.
Yep. Simple beginnings and leads us to track number 2, Cardigan.
I'm calling this might be my favorite. There are 3 songs from this that I'm calling will be my favorites. I think this is up there for me.
I think Cardigan's going to be top, but if it is the first leading single music video, I feel like there's got to be better. Like, I feel like it's going to
Oh
be
yeah,
really good, but I think that my favorite is some other one that I don't know of yet.
that's fair. Yeah, you never like the ones that are released commercially. You never do. Taylor's such a deep cuts artist.
Hmm.
But this title reminds me of All Too Well.
Yeah.
Specifically just like the left your scarf there. Like it's a very that I associate that song with clothing.
Hmm.
So I think this one definitely comes back to it. She put out a whole cardigan for merch. Did she put out a scarf for Red?
Um,
I would lose my mind if she
I
put
don't
out a
know if
scarf
she
for
did.
Red. I would buy that in a heartbeat.
This is the
Um,
scarf. So I found this from Taylor Swift Nation, but apparently it's also on merch from this era. But there's potential lyrics that say, but I knew you playing hide and seek and giving me your weekends. I knew you, your heartbeat on the high line. Once in 20 lifetimes, and when I felt like I was an old cardigan under someone's bed, you put me on and said I was your favorite.
how can you not think of All Too Well with
And
that?
we could analyze that lyric too. I mean, like, I felt like I was an old cardigan under someone's bed, like forgotten, but you put me
Mhm.
on and said I was your favorite. Like, mm.
After long nights in plaid, when you made me your own.
uh,
Uh, no, but it's interesting, isn't I knew you hide and seek and one of these other ones I think aside from cardigan. Those are like referenced in her actual
Merch store.
merch store. Yeah, like those
Yeah.
are the names of her different merch. Like I think hide and seek is the name of a vinyl you
Mm.
can buy. I knew you is the shirt because I think I bought that shirt.
Yeah.
Um, so that gives credence to the fact that these are real lyrics in this song potentially.
Exactly. When I was on the merch site, which we'll talk about later, there's a bunch of things that are in quotation marks, which leads me to believe that they're merch are not their lyrics in the album.
I
So
will say, like, if these are lyrics, like if this is lyrics to this song, it definitely gives credence that this record is much more of a. She already said it's a much more stripped down. It's not like a Reputation or
mhm.
1989 where there's a lot going on musically,
Yeah.
which makes me think there's more going on lyrically. Which Red was a lyrical powerhouse, and draw
I'm
your.
I'm all about the lyrics. If this is a lyric heavy album, then
I'm gone. I took off tomorrow. Like I called out of work so I
I
could listen to
wish.
this.
I'm just gonna be running on like 10 Red Bulls tomorrow. It's fine. I don't even drink Red Bull that much anymore, but
Red Bull is like a break in case of emergency kind of thing, and this
mhm.
is an emergency.
Yes, exactly. So then we get to track 3, which is the last great American dynasty. What a mouthful!
Yeah.
Kind of reminds me of Miss Americana and the Heartbreak Prince.
100%.
Yeah.
It's also the longest title track on this relatively short titled track album.
Mm.
I did another calculation that I'll talk about right now, but I texted Devon and I was like, there's so many one word titles to these songs. Like she
Hmm.
goes, yeah, and I was like, you're not going to talk anymore about that? Like, that's so important. And she's like, no one cared. I mentioned this to like
I'm at
multiple
work.
people. No one cared. And I was like, all right, well, let me look this up and see what this means. So I went through her entire discography of like released on an LP, and I counted how many words were in each song title. This album ranks actually the lowest average words per song title at 1.82, under 2.
Yeah.
It has 9 one-word song titles. The next lowest is Speak Now at 2.08, which has 7 one-word titles. But her average is 2.93. So this was a fun half hour of my life where I just like to run numbers on nothing for no reason.
Why not?
But I think that's interesting. Like, there's not a lot of it's very simplistic in the song titles, which makes me think it's going to be very simplistic in the like music behind it too.
I think the music definitely, I think the lyrics are going to be what's the focal point of this album. And I think that, you know, The Last Great American Dynasty, it sounds like it's going to be a political song.
It's got to be. Well, Miss Americana and the Heartbreak Prince was extremely political. Like,
exactly.
Arguably, I think that was her most political song to date. And this song, it just seemed like there's no way it can't be.
Mm-hmm.
Like, America is at like the forefront of everything right now, politically, in every way. It's got to be. It's got, and we went through and like there's a couple of songs that we pointed, could this be a political song? And she's coming out like more and more, talking more politically about everything. She's not being quiet anymore about her beliefs on things. So this could be her first political album.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. And then this song also features some strings, which I'm excited for. A lot of this album is very instrumental heavy. I'll go over that in a little bit, but just a lot of instrumentation on this song. I'm very excited for that. The next song, track 4, is Exile featuring Bon Iver, which, what is that? I'm so excited.
Strings on this song too.
Yeah, Exile, being cast away, you know.
Another isolation thing.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Then we get to our latest track 5, My Tears Ricochet.
That's a good name too. Ricochet is a great word.
Mm-hmm. Jack Antonoff tweeting, track 5, no other words, just my mood.
They're really like, ever since Archer, like she's really like leaning into this track 5 thing, and like especially people in her music family too.
Yeah. So he said that this is one of his favorites. So I'm excited to see what kind of My Tears Ricochet. So it's definitely going to be sad, but ricocheting off what? Like, I don't know.
I would wager cheeks, probably.
Maybe
her cheeks. But that's a track. Anytime we get a track 5, like that's going to immediately go under scrutiny. Especially me, because
who does a whole episode about track 5s. I have a
whole episode about track 5s that is ruined now. We're going to put it up. You're going to have to listen to it. And I'll put a retraction or an addition later. But I didn't expect to get a new track 5 so soon. So I'm excited to add and do another lyrical analysis on it and see where it stands.
Yeah. Then we get into track 6, Mirror Ball, which is an interesting title.
That's an odd one. Like I can't even figure out where that would come from.
It kind of reminds me of a disco ball, maybe, like a mirror.
I can see that.
That's like the only thing I can think of.
I think I saw someone mention on Reddit that like disco, like the cover of September she did was from a disc, was very disco heavy.
Yeah.
But I'm at a complete loss for that one.
Then we get on to track number 7, entitled 7.
Please ignore my comment on this one.
Just gloss over that. But yes, 7. It's my lucky number.
Is it really?
7 and 11, because they both rhyme with my name.
7-11 Devon. Maybe go in a different order.
11, 7.
It makes it sound like you really enjoy convenience stores.
I used to love 7-Eleven, but that's a different story. So I'm hoping that 7 will be one of my favorites because of the brand. But then we get to track 8, which is August, which is the 8th month. She's just going very simple here. Do you have to talk about August?
I think this is my favorite. This is my call for my favorite song of the album. I don't know why. It's very interesting to me because Taylor is a very fall-oriented songwriter and singer and artist. An icon. But it's interesting that like this is pre-fall. Like August is right before obviously September, which is my birthday. But I'm interested to see what it is because immediately when I saw it, I associated it with fall just because Taylor, but August isn't fall.
Yeah.
And it's the end of a cruel summer is August.
Mm.
The end of a cruel summer. The end of a cruel summer.
With his cruel summer shirt.
I gotta retire. I gotta get it in. It's done.
The last thing I have to say about August,
Oh God.
just to stay true to the brand, Carly Kloss was born in August. Just putting it out there.
Uh-huh.
If we're still reaching.
We're gonna be reaching until the end of this podcast. And
Then
I don't mean this episode. I mean when we're finished doing this podcast.
When we say goodbye. The next song, track 9, is This Is Me Trying.
What a heartbreaking string of words.
I can compare this. I think this is going to be a sadder version of like Afterglow, where she talks about like, you know, I'm trying. Like this is me putting the effort in.
I feel like this is her Sad Beautiful Tragic for this record. Hopefully it's better than Sad Beautiful Tragic.
I love Sad Beautiful nah.
I really love digging on Devon for liking that song as much as humanly possible. I don't even hate it as much as I project that I do.
Here's the thing. You say, oh, I hate it. I think that this album is going to be a lot of Sad Beautiful Tragic vibes.
I can see it. I hope it's... See, I like the music behind Sad Beautiful Tragic, but like my main problem with that song is there's just no emotion in her delivery. And I get why like it works for that song, but I just it doesn't resonate with me. And I hope we get the musical composition of Sad Beautiful Tragic, but even the lyrics, because the lyrics are really good too. But I just hope we get more emotion out of her with it, which I think we will, because we've seen that with the way that she's been singing with Lover. Lover was a very emotional sounding album. So if this is the love child of Lover and Red, I'll lose my mind. I'm going to lose my mind either way, but
we will not be okay.
I'll never find it.
Okay, now we are on track 10, Illicit Affairs, which, what a scandalous title.
Yeah, what does that mean?
It sounds political just because of like, I don't know, the phrasing in it. Yeah.
Illicit and affairs both sound like political words.
Sad, but
true.
Sad that it is. Then we get to 11, Invisible String.
I noted that this my immediate reaction to this was like puppeteering. Which could be political with like someone pulling the strings behind the scenes. But I'm really like I've never done a track listing analysis before ever hearing the songs. So I'm really interested to see where, like, listening back to this episode after we know what these songs are really about, or the lyrics about these songs.
And just being like, oh, I think Invisible String could also be like, you know, like a string connecting someone to another person or something, like an invisible string, like.
Oh my God, I love that. I had to whisper it. I love it so much.
Like an invisible string that ties me to you or something.
There is a really quick tangent, but there's a movie out that I watched that's been my favorite movie of the year. It actually beat Taylor Swift's documentary, but it's called Your Name. And it's basically that exact concept of like there's this string that ties these two people together, but they never actually, they never meet. But they're tangled by this string that like ties them together, and it is such a beautiful movie. I can't recommend it enough. But if that's what this song is like related to, I will. I keep saying I'll lose my mind, but come on, what else am I gonna say?
All right, then we get to track 12. 12 is Mad Woman, which, what a title! I like that. I think
I'm interested what this could be.
I mean, like you said, it could be political. It could kind of be related to Hillary being called a vile woman, mad woman. It could be about her feud with, you know, Scooter Braun and Scott Borchetta, with, you know, people calling her mad for getting upset about these things.
Reminds me of The Man, too. Again, after we just did that thing, but it's okay that I'm mad.
Yeah.
Being a lyric coming out of there. Yeah, I just thought of that off the cuff. Isn't that great?
Yeah. Oh.
But I think that's it. Like, it's okay that I'm mad. All right. now I'm mad. Like, here's me mad.
I just keep getting madder. Then we get to track 13, which is a good number, and it's
Mm.
called Epiphany.
Oh, I like that.
A
That
thought revelation, you're having an epiphany. What about? I don't know.
it definitely feels like a track 13 song.
Mm-hmm.
Like it feels like the kind of song you'd expect when you get halfway through the album or a little over halfway through the album and you're like in this weird lull, because I always get that, like especially with Taylor Swift albums, where it's like the first 6 or 7 songs, like you're like going crazy, you really like them, you're really digging them, and then like you start to like peter off a little bit and you get to like that middle part, and I think that's the perfect spot for a song if like that, if it matches the tone that I'm thinking of.
Yeah. Then we get to track 14, Betty.
Who is Betty?
So we both had two. Well, we flip flopped. You gave me a theory, and then I gave you a theory that I read on
Mhm.
Tumblr. So you start first.
So, and I don't like that I'm giving this theory, because this theory is the antithesis of me, and it's me admitting that you're right. This theory probably has the least credence, though, but it is important to note that Carly Kloss's middle name is Elizabeth. And I did look this up on Wikipedia, and it's mildly stretchy, but Betty is a nickname for Elizabeth. But to be fair, what white girl's middle name is not Elizabeth? Devin, what's your middle name?
Jean.
If it was Elizabeth, I would have, could you imagine the audience hearing that? Oh,
I
crazy,
know.
crazy.
No.
Fireworks, sirens in the distance.
So what I read, which I think is a lot more plausible, and I'm like, oh, but apparently Betty is the name of Joe's mom.
That
So
makes a lot more sense.
about a potential mother-in-law if they get married, your significant other's mother.
That's interesting. Her last album had a song about her mother, and this one is about the other mother. Which I don't think we've ever had that. Have you ever had that shows a lot about their relationship if she has a whole song dedicated to a member of their family. Like,
the only time we've gotten close to that isn't about a significant other's mother, but just like people in her life influencing her music.
Okay.
But this is just the significance of a partner's family, which is
I would be really shocked if she doesn't end up marrying him. I would be very, very shocked to hear that they broke up.
We get the engagement ring in the Cardigan video, calling it. We'll see.
Oh my God. I couldn't handle that. Like, there's already enough. Like, we're getting a music video, a 16 tracks album. Like, oh my gosh.
We come back on for the next episode. Like, there's still more.
We gotta go.
I know. So, what track was that? That was track 13.
13.
Track
14. Peace is next.
So, track 15 is Peace. Simple.
Could be Inner Peace. Could be Inner Peace.
Could be political.
Could be political again.
And the
like
climate.
I said, this could be her most political album. Could just be at peace. Like, she found peace in isolation, which she hasn't had in a while. We're only one album removed from Reputation.
Yeah. And now we have our track closer, track 16, or our album closer, track 16, technically, Hoax.
So political. That's gotta be political.
I think it's political. I think it's going to be a statement about, like, hopefully, like, moving forward. Like, it has to be an album closer. And there's this string arrange bit by Bon Iver's violinist Rob Moose, and I'm picturing it as Daylight, but like more orchestral. I think it's going to be this big, grandiose, like, instrumental version. I think it's going to be really good.
I just heard like the rise of strings.
I
and
think
like because that's what I read another thing that, like, we're going to Bridge City with this album, and like it's gonna be many, many great bridges, I imagine, and I could just see like a beautiful straight, like the way that she builds a bridge with just her voice, but having like that orchestral violin in the background building it with her.
Yeah.
The architecture of this album.
And then we get to track 17, the bonus track, The Lakes. So that's only, like you said, we're only going to get it on the physical edition. I don't know when people are going to hear that. What lakes is she talking about?
That's what I'm wondering. Like, what lakes? Like, there's the Great Lakes of Michigan. There's the Finger Lakes in New York. But are there big lakes in Great Britain that are important? Like, I
Who
can't think of
knows?
any. I didn't do a lot of research on this specific track,
Hmm.
but I'm very interested to see what that ends up being.
Yeah, and we won't see it for a while, so
Hmm.
we'll see what happens. But so that is the track list. That is all 16 tracks. Like I mentioned before, big instrumental album. We have trombonist Lanz, trumpet player Kyle Resnick, drummer James McAllister, cellist Clarice Jensen, percussionist slash drummer Jason Trutting, horn player David Nelson, violinist Rob Moose, contemporary violinist Yuki Numata Resnick. Like,
I love that there are two violinists.
trombone, trumpet, drummer, cellist, drummer, horn player, violinist. Like, this is gonna be
I'm so here for it.
perfection.
I'm so
I
here for it.
An orchestral masterpiece. So before we wrap up, let's quickly talk about merch. So she's
Okay.
dropping her merch. It's only available for a week.
I'm so pissed. I'm so pissed. I spent $106 today, which is on the low end. I bought the cardigan. I bought the one album. I bought the vinyl of In the Weeds. Talking with one of my coworkers, we both agreed that was the best one. And then I bought the shirt. I wanted to buy the hoodie, but I've had bad experiences with hoodies from Taylor, which I'll talk about probably later. But one thing I noticed, which I get she's saying like there's 8 different editions for the 8th record. But that's so much. Like that's so excessive and unnecessary in my opinion. I love you, Taylor. You can do no wrong. But it's also funny. I noticed Reputation had 2 different versions. You could buy, if you bought 2 copies of it, they had 2 magazines that came with it. I did buy both of them. Those magazines are gracefully adorning my coffee table.
Yeah.
Lover had 4 different editions, and the only thing that was different about them was the inserts you got in it, which for those 2 I could justify it because the album was the exact same, but you got different secondary stuff. So I was like, okay, I'm getting something different. And then I would give the album to my friends that were like iffy on Taylor Swift, so that way I could get them to listen to it. This one is so weird because like I don't want to buy all of them because if I did, I would want to keep them. But what am I going to do with the same album?
Exactly.
Like,
yeah. The only thing different, so each album has the 17 songs, but each of them have a different cover, a back cover, a unique disc, collectible album lyric booklets with 5 unique photos and artwork. So you're getting different photos and artwork. But maybe it's because I'm cheap. I mean, I didn't get any of the 4 lovers, or I'm probably only going to get maybe 1 CD for this one. But I don't know what I'm going to do with it all. And I'm going to find it online. I want to support her, obviously, but it's like, I'm not going to buy 8.
I have 3 digital copies of the album coming to me.
Oh my gosh. Yeah,
like everything came with a digital copy. It's I mean, like I get it. You're trying to like make it special, but I mean, you're dropping this out. This album's already special.
Exactly.
I don't know that you need more. There's also a cassette, but you only get the I think it's In the Woods version for the cassette. All the CDs have the different versions too. The vinyls have different versions, but the vinyls have different colors, which we had a big fun talk about the colors today, which you might see coming forward. But those colors look really cool on vinyl. Not much elsewhere. Just say that. But she also, Devin, if you want to go into what she named these.
Yeah, so she named each piece of merch with the lyrics from certain songs. It's, like for example, In the Trees in quotation marks, and then she would list like the hoodie, In the Trees hoodie or shirt or whatever. So we have In the Trees, In the Weeds, Meet Me Behind the Mall, Betty's Garden, Stolen Lullabies, Hide and Seek, which we said before, Running Like Water, Clandestine Meetings, Cardigan, I Knew You, and So Much for Summer. Do you have any comments on any of these?
I looked up clandestine because I vaguely know what it means from context, but Taylor is a very literal, like we looked up folklore and it had meanings separately. But what's funny is the actual Google definition, or Merriam-Webster says, it is meetings that are kept secret or done secretively, especially because illicit, which is interesting because illicit affairs. Yeah. So I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, and then I just thought it was funny. The last one, So Much for Summer. This is her telling us that Cruel Summer will never be a single. Just so much for summer. Here's a new era.
I think before we close, because I think this is the last thing we mentioned. Do you want to do a quick like match and see if we guess which lyrics are to which song?
Okay, I'll write it down, and then when we do our next episode reacting to it, I'll see if
So
we got them right.
we do know hide and seek and I knew you should both be cardigan. So those are bingo free spaces.
I think Betty's Garden definitely has to be Betty,
I guarantee that is like the
obviously.
last American legacy or something.
Cardigan is Cardigan.
Cardigan has got to be cardigan too. Clandestine meetings. I mean, we got to go with illicit
Yeah,
affairs. So much for summer. I think has got to be August. That makes sense to me.
I could see that.
Let me see what other songs we got.
Running
here.
Like Water, Stolen Lullabies, In the Tree. I think In the Trees and In the Weeds have to be the same song.
They should be, yeah. I can't even see nothing in here. Maybe Peace. It can't be Lakes. I don't think she would reference lyrics on Lakes. In the Tree, I think it could either be August or Peace. Maybe Betty because of the garden thing. It can't be Mirror Ball. Mirror Ball is too indoors. Exile could be Exile.
Let's go with that.
I like Exile.
Yeah.
Running Like Water could be My Tears Ricochet.
Yeah.
It could either be that or This Is Me Trying, but I think Tears Like Ricochet probably is the better one. Meet Me Behind the Mall. Illicit Affairs. Could be Illicit Affairs.
Let's do that.
Meet Me Behind the Mall. That's such a strange one to point out.
I think it's mall, like kind of like DC-esque mall and not like a shopping mall.
Ooh, that's cool. I like that. I love
Stolen,
that double meaning.
Stolen Lullabies.
That could be any of them. I think that could be any of them. Maybe Hoax. Stolen Lullabies. Probably not the one.
This is our last one too.
Seven, I just don't know what. Like that's such like we don't know anything what that song.
There's no
could be
context.
About.
Yeah.
There's absolutely nothing we can pull from that. Stolen Lullabies. I would say my guess, if you want to guess something different, my guess Stolen Lullabies will be. I'm gonna go with Epiphany. That's a little bit out of left field. Epiphany.
Okay. I will write that down. Joe Epiphany. I'm gonna say Stolen Lullabies. Let's go with Invisible String for me.
That was another one I was thinking of. Yep. Invisible String was the other one.
All right. We have our predictions.
We have our predictions. That's actually really exciting. I like closing the episode with that.
Yeah.
All right. So this was our episode. I mean, you probably are already listening to the album before you listen to this. I will say that's probably pretty bad. No one's going to listen to this because everyone's going to be listening to the album.
Yeah.
But if you took a break from listening to Taylor Swift's Folklore, we appreciate you. You're way better of a fan than we could ever hope to deserve.
We're currently listening to.
We're currently listening to
Folklore.
it as well. Please subscribe to us on whatever platform you're listening to. If you heard us on YouTube or something like that, we're also on all of the podcast platforms. Tell a friend about us and rate us 5 stars. Give us a review on Apple. It really helps us out and helps spread the word and gets more people listening.
Yeah, and follow us on social media. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, at We Need to Calm Down Podcast, WNTCD Podcast on Twitter. DM us, let us know what you think.
If you have any suggestions for an episode, I mean, we probably are pretty loaded up for stuff for the foreseeable future. But if you see something about folklore that you want us to talk about, or you see a cool conspiracy that you think we should look into or do an episode on, please DM us, message us, get it into our hands, and we'll try to see what we can do. We love hearing from you guys.
Yeah, thank you so much. Come back. We'll be here.